Kana told them she saw it with her own eyes. The two of them exchanged a heavy glance, their silence louder than any words. Kehoe told them he would provide a temporary home. They asked if they could stay, but there was still a condition. The two smiled with happiness. Seeing they had no shoes, he helped them get a pair. Bota and Lita were amazed at how big the inside of the ship was. Lita was surprised it wasn't shaking at all. Bota heard a crane claw hauling metal and rubble, and was amazed to see people working on it. "We've arrived," Kehoe said quietly. Bota and Lita's eyes widened, struggling to take in the bustling scene before them, merchants calling out their wares, stores overflowing with fresh goods and curious recycled treasures. For the first time, music drifted to their ears, mingling with the rich aroma of seasoned food sizzling nearby. Kehoe gestured toward a small shoe shop. The owner quoted 30 nuts for 2 pairs, but Kehoe shook his head. Bota dug through his belongings, searching for something worthy of trade. Bota pulled out an old alarm clock, but the shoe shop's shelves were already stacked with them. Then the owner's eyes locked on something else in Bota's hands. "Whiskey," he shouted in surprise. Bota didn't even know what it was, but the owner seized the opportunity, offering to trade it straight for the pair of shoes. Kehoe stepped in, shouting that the kids had whiskey. A crowd of men quickly gathered, eager to buy it. Bidding began, and they sold it to the highest bidder. Lita was disappointed, remembering how much they had thrown into the ocean, but Bota told her it was fine. Kehoe added that things could change depending on the situation. The only thing they could trust was money, he added. Then he told them they had arrived, and they slowly opened. The room was full of trash, spider webs, and dust, but both of them were still happy. They called it amazing. They jumped onto the bed, uncaring about the dust puffing up around them. In the glow of a large window, Lita spotted something she didn't recognize. Kehoe told them those are stars. Bota remembered his father's words. "It's a bright light in the sky." Tears poured from Bota's eyes. His father had been right, it was beautiful. Meanwhile, the doctor was still at work on the Kentrasi carcass. They slowly eased it into the water. Onlookers flinched and backed away, fear etched across their faces. Brune wondered if he could ever fight a monster like that. The doctor offered quiet advice to him. People fought sea monsters to survive, but for him, this one was a mystery waiting to be unraveled. Meanwhile, Kana crossed paths with someone she knew. The man told her it was real. Kana took it in her hands, turning it carefully, wondering if it was truly his sword. She muttered that she knew Teon, the legendary 6-star harpoonist. She knew something was going to happen, and Bota and Lita weren't safe there. Across the room, Bota felt it too. Kana found herself wondering how the Kentrasi had been slain. Wounds that devastating weren't normal. They spoke of a desperate fight. Kana found herself asking why Teon had done it, and then she remembered the children. She turned to grab the snowball, her only treasure. Once, she'd been nothing more than a refugee, diving through the cold depths to scavenge enough to survive. At 14, Kana thought everything her parents dragged up from the sea was just soggy trash. But then they placed a small snow globe in her hands. Her heart kicked against her ribs. She liked it more than she could say. She tried to refuse, telling her parents they could sell it instead, but they only smiled and insisted it was a gift for her. Her eyes shone despite herself. In that moment, she wished her family could leave this place for good. Among the refugee camp, where people sold scavenged metal for food and supplies, her own dream burned quietly to make it to Union Busan. From the ship came the sound of cheering music. The people aboard seemed untouched by fear, no thoughts of sea monsters or natural disasters. Around her, other refugees dreamed of citizenship too. But for that, you had to find a treasure worthy enough to earn it. Life here was never easy. Debris fell without warning. The sea monsters came without mercy. Many never came back from the expeditions. Each trip was a gamble with the sea, and most lost. All we need is a treasure, her father had said. But doubts lingered in Kana's mind. Then, one day, while her father and the others explored the deep, they came upon it, a vast door, etched with a symbol. They pried the door open to find rows of submersible suits sealed inside. Pulling one free, the crew erupted in cheers and laughter. Kana turned to her father. Was this the treasure he had spoken of? He nodded, explaining that these suits came from an old civilization. Her parents told her they would become citizens of Union Busan. The truth of it struck her, and she threw her arms around them in true joy. That day, everyone laughed and celebrated until the nightmare began. That day, their celebration was shattered. From the depths came one of the 7 sea devils, the Skutoom. Kana's mother caught in its grasp. Kana stumbled, pain lancing through her eye, but her mother's voice cut through the roar. Hide! Kana froze, torn between terror and the urge to run to her. Through the haze, a roar rose not from the Skutoom, but from a band of men surging forward. Weapons raised, they hurled themselves at the towering beast, striking with all the fury they could muster. Steel and wood slammed into its barnacled hide, and with a shuddering crack, the Skutoom bellowed, the sea itself seeming to recoil. The Skutoom shifted, its massive claw sweeping through the air with terrifying speed. The blow landed like a thunderclap, the deck splintered, timbers exploding into the sea. One clung to the wreckage, voice breaking as he called for help, and in an instant, he was gone, swallowed by the merciless Skutoom. Out of the mist, a small boat cut toward the wreck, its lone oarsman straining against the waves. His eyes burned with the need to save them, but the man beside him gripped his arm, holding him back. The Skutoom's claw rose, stretching toward their fragile craft. The air vibrated with a low, unnatural rumble, a sound that seemed to crawl beneath the skin. The Skutoom's claw shifted, a jagged spike swiveling until it locked on the small boat. With a sound like a whip crack, the spike shot forward at terrifying speed. Wood shattered, the boat splitting apart in a spray of seawater and splinters. Through the chaos, her father was alive and grabbing her to safety, hauling her toward the bridge of the ship. He was shouting, trying to send a call for help, but the sea between them was already darkening with the Skutoom's shadow. The survivor's voice cracked over the radio, shouting again and again for help, his words nearly drowned by the groan of tearing steel. The Skutoom loomed over the wreck, claws rending the ship apart as if peeling the shell from some fragile prey. Not far in the distance, a harpoonist is nearby. It was Teon. Teon's gaze fell on the wreck of a small boat, its shattered frame drifting in the shallows. The people aboard lay motionless, cruel spikes driven deep into their flesh. A voice cut through the chaos. It's from Union Busan. Before he could react, the man tore it from his grasp, his shout for help ringing sharp and urgent across the wreck-strewn shore. But they denied the request. Still determined and desperate to save Kana, he tried again only to be refused once more. She questioned herself, wondering why they had denied their request. With a deafening crack, a massive claw tore through the bridge, splintering metal in an instant. Her father was caught in its grip, his voice strained but firm as he shouted over the chaos, "Stay back." It happened in a heartbeat. The Skutoom more closed around him, and he was gone. Just like that, her parents were no more. She stood frozen, trembling, the world tilting beneath her as disbelief and terror crashed over her in waves. The Skutoom loomed over her, claws poised, its shadow swallowing the ground. She didn't move, didn't even flinch, as if surrendering to the moment, accepting whatever end it would bring. At the last possible heartbeat, Teon burst forward, steel flashing, wrenching her free from the sea monster's claws. She carried Kana to a safe place, asking the man to take care of her. The man asked who he was, and he replied, "I'm Teon, a harpoonist from Union Busan." She felt a spark of life return to her when she saw a harpoonist for the first time. Then he took a glance outside to see if there were others. Teon said they needed to get out immediately. Then he faced the Skutoom by himself, alone. The creature's massive claw lashed out, a blur of muscle and fighting. Teon twisted aside just in time, the strike missing by inches. In the same motion, his blade flashed, severing the rope that bound the lifeboat, setting their only escape adrift. The Skutoom's growl deepened into a feral roar before it lunged once more. Teon pivoted on his heel, blade sweeping in a full arc, a spinning strike that met the creature's charred heavy. The blade had bitten into the shell, but the crack was shallow, barely a wound. Teon's thumb found the hidden switch on his sword and pushed it to its limit. With a sharp hiss, a surge of pressurized gas roared from the weapon, the air around him trembling with its force. With a roar of fury, the Skutoom lunged, its full weight and rage behind the strike. Teon met it head and steel clashing against claw in a shower of sparks. The blow split the shell with a sharp crack, and the beast recoiled, flinching as it staggered a step backward. Kana stood frozen in shock, her breath caught in her throat. Teon's eyes flicked toward the deck where the lifeless bodies lay sprawled, silent witnesses to the carnage. Fury burned in his eyes as he lunged with all its might. Teon met it blow for blow, his strikes relentless, each one ringing against shell and claw. From the sidelines, Kana watched in awe, unable to believe she was witnessing a lone man stand against a towering sea monster. Cracks splintered through the Skutoom's claw, fragments breaking away with each movement. Seizing the opening, Teon surged forward in a blur, closing the distance and driving his strike beam, shattering the creature's shell in a single decisive blow. Cracks spread like lightning across the Skutoom's armored hide, each one splintering under Teon's relentless assault. Kana's breath caught as the truth struck her this was no ordinary man. He was a predator born to hunt monsters, a leviathan slayer. Teon Ma.
Thank you for watching. Follow for more.